Okay, everybody, it's welcome to our meeting. And I'm going to take the liberty of starting our meeting in my capacity as the president of the Emeriti Association. My name is Peter Gorovich. I'm going to try to make sure that my camera really is capturing me properly. And so I'm president of the Emeriti Association. And I just going to say just a few words about what we do. We do a variety of things, and we're going to try to have our members of the executive committee go over these things. So I'm not doing all the talking. I think I won't list them because our people are going to explain them step by step. And I think what I'm going to do is do something we're asking all the executive committee people to do, is to explain how they first got involved. I retired a good 10 years ago. But I only got very involved in the Emeriti Association about 3 or 4 years ago because I found myself, after I finished a bunch of projects as I was retired, I noticed that there was an Emeriti book club. And since I love to read, I got curious about that. So I started to go to the book club sessions, which meet once a month. And I enjoyed that enormously. I still do it. I found that extremely interesting experience, because it was a variety of people. I didn't know most of the people on it. It was quite a wide range of people. And the methodology was that once people picked a book, there was a list, and when the dates were open, you could say, I propose this particular book, put your name on, and that particular month, you were the leader of a discussion about that particular book. And since the people on it were quite a wide range of people across all disciplines, this meant that books were chosen that were often quite far away from what you yourself might have chosen. And I found that tremendously interesting. People found interesting things to read and have interesting discussions. And so I enjoyed the experience. I have one friend, I tried to persuade that friend to join. He said, no, I don't want to belong to a book club. I want to pick the books that I read. So I found myself, well, I'm different from that person. I enjoy the suggestions made by other people and see what they have in mind, because other people often have interesting selections. I would say that it's rare that every so often I don't particularly enjoy a book, but most of the time I enjoy the selections of other people. We have lively discussions. And so I enjoyed that experience a great deal. And I think that my current involvement in this is a result of that experience. Maybe, as you could tell from the nature of my voice, already my personality, I don't keep quiet very, very long. And so as a result of talking there, I was a couple of years after that experience, I got asked to become a member of the executive committee. I do this? Would you do that? And I say, well, I'm not very experienced. They say, yeah, but you talk a lot. You were once a dean. You know how the thing works. I said, all right. So I joined, and I've enjoyed the experience because I've learned a whole lot more about what the Emeriti Association does, and I start to see more and more of its value. And so I think that's what we're going to try to communicate to you. The book club is only one of the many things that it does. And so I think our members are by talking about what got them involved, I think we're going to try to get across to you the other things that you could do, the mentorship programs, and amongst them is one of the big things, but there are a variety of things that it does that are quite valuable. And so I'm now going to turn it over to the president in 2 weeks from now, or less than 2 weeks from now. I will no longer be the president, although as the outgoing president, I continue to be involved because our rules are that the leadership is provided by last year's president, the current president, and the incoming vice president form the leadership team that continues to help and works with the rest of the executive committee. So the current vice president is Barbara Parker, and she was the vice president this year. She has quite a lot of work. She's going to explain the work that she did, which was a very wonderful experience. The vice presidents do the thing that she's going to describe to you, and that's actually a wonderful experience. I hope all of you at some point or another become vice president so you can engage in that experience. So Barbara, I turn the floor over to you. It's my pleasure. Barbara Parker.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Peter. It's nice to meet some of you and also see some familiar faces. I retired 5 years ago and have continued to work and still do part-time, initially in clinical care and clinical research, but now only in clinical research. I became involved in the Emeriti Association through the urging of Joel Dimsdale, who many of you may know. And my entry was also the book club. I thought this was my chance to intellectually explore topics that I otherwise may not explore, and get to meet and know Emeriti faculty, some of whom I knew, but also many I didn't. And it was a great experience for me. And because I also enjoyed the discussion, I think I also was given opportunities to be further involved. I currently have the privilege of being the vice president, and as Peter said, I will assume the presidency at our luncheon next week, and we encourage all of you and all your friends who are Emeriti faculty to join us at the May 8th luncheon. The responsibility of the vice president is for the monthly Zoom Emeriti Association lecture series, usually current active faculty, although it could be Emeriti faculty, and wide-ranging topics. Your choice as the vice president. You contact the potential speakers, you arrange the schedule, and we've had an incredible lectures ranging from the ethics of artificial intelligence by David Danks to pandemic preparedness by Davy Smith, heat waves in Southern California by Mark Merrifield, and composition of opera based upon historical events by Anthony Davis. So an incredibly diverse lineup of very talented senior people from UCSD discussing their research in an accessible way and stimulating very lively discussion. You'll hear about the additional programs of the Emeriti Association. I will put a plug in for the Chancellor Scholars and Emeriti program that May Brown, the chair of that program, will describe. I became a mentor this year. I have 2 mentees, and it's been one of the most rewarding experiences I've had as an academic, is to give back by mentoring first-generation college students during their first year at UCSD. I've learned as much from them as I think they've learned from me. The book club, you'll hear from Phyllis Mirsky. We give out awards to faculty, and you'll hear from, I think, one of our leaders regarding the awards that we give out each year. There are numerous social events, some in combination with the Retirement Association, which also has been another advantage in that I've gotten to meet and know retiree staff at a variety of levels, and that's also been very rewarding. I would say the greatest opportunity and the greatest benefit for me has been the opportunity to build a greater sense of community and engagement with other Emeriti faculty, to get to know Emeriti faculty that I previously hadn't met, to get to know Retirement Association leaders and members that I previously hadn't met or wouldn't previously have had the opportunity to meet. And importantly, to become more familiar with campus faculty life and campus life in general. In health sciences, and especially on the east side of the freeway, I almost never went to campus and didn't really understand very much about the workings of the undergraduate campus. So for me, that's opened up an incredible joy in learning about campus activity and undergraduate life at UCSD. Now I will pass it off to the next speaker, who is Phyllis Mirsky, the book club and the Cuccia.
Hi, I retired as deputy university librarian a long time ago and became active in the Emeriti Association shortly thereafter at the encouragement of Helen Ranney, leader in the School of Medicine, who wanted to be sure that the Emeriti Association reflected the full range of academic employees at UCSD, not just the faculty. I'd served on the board, I was secretary treasurer, I was president, and you get punished for your good deeds. So I am now currently the secretary of the system-wide Council of the University of California Emeriti Associations, because the University of California has system-wide groups for everybody. But I think, as Barbara pointed out, it may have been before we started the official proceedings, being part of system-wide opportunities is extremely useful and important. And CUSIA itself is important because it has direct contact and communication with the retirement, RASC, whatever that stands for, Retirement Assistance Service Center. Anyway, the Office of the President with benefits, because I think one of our major roles as Emeriti is to continue to press for the benefits that we have and make sure that we don't lose them. I was asked to talk about the book club as well, but I can't think of anything to add to what Peter and Barbara have already mentioned. I too am a member of the book club and find all the things that they mentioned to be very important, especially the opportunity to read books that I probably wouldn't have chosen and to have discussions led by very erudite and knowledgeable people. And the discussions afterwards are amazing because we come from so many different areas of campus that everyone has an interesting perspective.
I would just like to add about the book club. You can attend the book club and not agree to present a book. You can just listen and comment based upon the discussion. So there's no pressure to present a book if you don't want to.
Good point.
And next will be May, talking about the jewel of our program, the Chancellor Scholars Program and the Emeriti Mentor Program, as well as May serves as a liaison with the very important Retirement Association.
Thank you, Barbara. Again, May Brown, and I retired in 2016, having served more than 40 years on the campus. And my last role was Assistant Vice Chancellor for Enrollment Management for close to 10, 12 years in that role. Prior to that, some of you I know from serving as Dean of Academic Advising at Thurgood Marshall College and also Director of Admissions prior to that appointment. I was introduced, Suzanne Chaffee is the one that got me involved in the Retirement Association, and I've been a part of that, having served as both Vice President and President of the Retirement Association. 2 years ago, Suzanne asked me if I would consider serving as chair of the Emeriti Mentor Program. And of course, initially I had great reservations about doing that, but anyone who's worked with Suzanne knows that you don't say no to Suzanne, so you figure out a way to make this work. And as Barbara mentioned, it has been a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to serve. We have some incredible students who are known as Chancellor Scholars. The Chancellor Scholars are the next group of students after the Regent Scholar. These are first generation students coming from low income backgrounds, in some cases, some schools that are not as well resourced. But they are an incredible group of young men and women. So much so that you just find yourself standing there and just being so pleased with this group of scholars. Each year, we invite 40 scholars to participate in the Chancellor Scholars Program. And as a result of being Chancellor Scholars, they are automatically assigned an Emeriti mentor. And part of what we know from the feedback that we've gathered from our Chancellor Scholars is that they feel that the Emeriti mentor and all of the wraparound services that the Chancellor Scholars Program provide is the hallmark for them. They attribute their tremendous success on the campus. And we know in terms of time to degree and academic excellence, they're doing well, doing very well on the campus. But the Chancellor Scholars Program itself organizes all kinds of resources available for our students and make sure that they are participating. They do interviewing, just a whole range of activities to make sure that our scholars are well prepared, both socially, in terms of the etiquette dinners, in terms of meeting those business opportunities that they might have, the research opportunities, they participate in poster sessions and so forth. But one of the things that continue to come up frequently is the role of Emeriti mentors in their lives. There are some Emeriti who have worked with their students from the year of inception even to today. They're still involved with students in the Chancellor Scholars Program. They continue to give of their time and talent. And that relationship has been wonderful. What we do each year is, as the applications come in, we match those scholars with Emeriti in their respective fields. Usually, we try to do that frequently. And what we're hearing from our students is that this is an extremely valuable opportunity for them. They spend time with the Emeriti mentors. They have lunch and they meet and talk about their career goals and their future plans in terms of graduate and professional schools. And these mentors have had a tremendous impact on our Chancellor Scholars. So one of the things that I would strongly encourage is, if you're interested in continuing to work with young, talented, high-powered students, first-year students, starting out with a mentor, this is a great program to consider. It's a great opportunity to share your time, your talent, and your treasure with these individuals. So I am more than happy to answer any questions. This is my last year serving as the chair of the mentor program. And I'm delighted that Wayne has agreed to continue that role, working with an incredibly wonderful team of colleagues. And so it's been one of my great pleasures working on the coming back to the campus in retirement. And I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, May. That was wonderful. Next will be Stephen Adler, who is the editor of Chronicles, the quarterly newsletter of the Emeriti Association. And Stephen, I think you'll also be speaking about our awards program. Thank you, Stephen.
Yes, thank you, Barbara. Hello? Yes. Thank you, Barbara. Thanks, everybody. Nice to see a lot of familiar faces and a few new ones. I retired in 2016 after 29 years at UCSD as a professor in the Department of Theater and Dance. The last 12 of those 29 years were spent as provost of Earl Warren College. I have been actively engaged in the Emeriti Association in various ways since I retired. I've given several lectures for the Emeriti Retirement Associations. I have been an active mentor in the Emeriti Mentor Program. I served on the executive committee. I was roped in by both Suzanne and Peter, not Peter Cowie, Stan Shotero, who was Dean of Arts and Humanities when I was first hired. And I then served as vice president, and like Barbara, had a wonderful time putting together the lecture series. I was president of the association 2 years ago, and I assumed the mantle of editor of our quarterly newsletter, Chronicles, from when Sandy Lakoff fell ill a year and a half or so ago. I took over and have been editing it since. And Chronicles is a wonderful publication. I'd like to tout its wares. It's published online quarterly, and we feature typically 2 articles of 1,500-ish to 2,000-ish words by active faculty, typically active faculty, although Emeriti can contribute too, on a range of topics of interest across the board, from specific research projects from faculty in medicine, scripts oceanography, the general campus, to overviews by deans of schools as to what's going on. And we also feature, I started this last year, a running column called How My Stars Aligned, in which Emeriti write a brief 600-word piece about how they found their path, their career path, how they found their passion and their path. And it's, I think it's been a very charming column and edifying as well. So I would encourage anybody who has an interest in writing for that column to contact me. Would love to feature your little self-written story. And you'll be getting chronicles if you join the Emeriti Association. And Vanya has posted the link for the latest issue in the chat now, so you could pick that copy up. The other thing I'd like to talk about, and I will put the link in now to the chat as well, is for the 2 awards that are bestowed. One is the Dixon Award, which was started by a former UC Regent, Edward Dixon, years ago. Each campus has its own Dixon Award pot, and typically we can fund 2, sometimes 3 Dixon recipients on the UCSD campus, and that's for service, broadly speaking, to the campus, to the larger community, to faculty, the students, to staff, teaching, ongoing research. It can be a variety of criteria that fulfill the Dixon Award. Nomination letters are needed, and the award carries a prize of $10,000 for each recipient. Those are awarded by the Emeriti Association Executive Committee with approval by the Executive Vice Chancellor. The Panunzio Award, the Constantine Panunzio Award, is a UC system-wide award for faculty in the humanities and social sciences with, in a sense, a higher bar. The Panunzio Awards are given to 2 faculty in the whole UC system every year. And we've been very lucky in having some of our own faculty, Emeriti faculty, be recipients of the Panunzio. So you can check out that link and see what a little bit about those awards. And I think that's it. And I can take questions later if there are any. Thank you, Barbara, Vanya, Peter.
Yes. Thank you, Stephen. Kim Signoret-Parr, who has served as the liaison with Oceanids, one of the auxiliary organizations for Scripps Institute of Oceanography, I don't think is online. She can be contacted if there are questions regarding her role and Oceanids organization itself. I will say that Kim will serve as the president of the Retirement Association next year, so you may be seeing her and hearing from her in a different capacity. Next, we'll move to Rick Boland regarding personal experiences and involvement with the Emeriti Association.
Thank you, Barbara. My story is a little different than some of the other ones I've heard, although I became familiar with the Emeritus Association because I had a friend. I came from the medical school, and I was good friends with a person who was presenting a paper at a book at the book club, Roger Sprague, and he said, "Hey, why don't you come along?" And so I said, "Sure," and that really drew me in. So the background is that makes my situation somewhat unique is that I was recruited here in 1995 as a professor and division chief in gastroenterology, and problems occurred in the Department of Medicine that made it impossible to continue. So I took an endowed chair in Dallas, Texas. But inasmuch as my wife was a little reluctant to believe that Dallas is a place that she would want to stay, we kept our house here, and the plan was always to come back. And we've got 3 daughters, and they all live in California, so that was something that we were going to do. So I went to Dallas in 2003. They had an endowed chair, a huge lab, an endowment, a hard money salary. Everything was perfect, and we did well for a while. But then I got into my late 60s, and my wife was bugging me. She said something to the effect, she said, "You always said that it's the young people who have the ideas, but the old people who take the credit, usually the old guys who take the credit." And so she sort of humbled me into retiring. So in 2016, I walked away and I went to my right-hand man and said, "Here's a 4,000 square foot lab. Here's $100,000 a year of endowment." And I'm sorry, it was even more than that. And anyway, and here's 4 NIH grants. And so I walked away from that at a time when I was still active, but I knew that I wasn't leading the way in terms of the informatics and all the things that were happening in the genetics research that I was doing. So I came back here and I was still, fairly active in an academic way in terms of writing papers and that. So I became engaged with the university, but I'd been away for 11 years. So I never knew that much about what was going on in the rest of the campus. So I joined the Emeritus Association as a personal thing so I could get more engaged. I could meet with people, and I really have enjoyed the book club. That's been a lot of fun to be part of that. Then I was on it was just going to the book club, and then someone, and I can't remember who it was, said, "Hey, do you want to run to be an officer in the Emeritus Association?" I said, "I'm really not the right guy for that." And he kept bugging me. And finally I said, "Well, no one will know me, so I might as well go ahead. I can put my name in there, but no one would vote for me, so I wouldn't possibly win." I think I was probably the only person in that slot, which is what happened. And I hadn't really thought that. But this has been fun to get more engaged with a lot of people. I've never regretted that part of it. But I always felt a little bit humbled by the fact that I didn't know as much about the undergraduate campus. The only thing I knew about was the medical school, and that goes back a way. So I still teach in the GI division. I still, give lectures. I write papers. I'm still doing things. I just don't get paid for it, which is what everyone who's retired can relate to. But in any event, it's been a good way to get re-engaged with people who I really enjoy. The book club is something that I really enjoy. And it's been fun to have something to kind of get back into things again. So I appreciate this opportunity that the Emeritus Association has given me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rick. Now we're going to hear from Jean-Bernard Minster. Are you still with us? Yes. Jean-Bernard, your personal experience and involvement in the Emeriti Association. I think you're on mute. You're still on mute. I still can't hear you. The mute icon is off, but can't hear you.
Maybe your microphone is turned down.
Hello.
Yes.
There you are.
I think there you are. Yes. Now turn it back on. We could hear you briefly. And now we can hear you.
I cannot hear you either.
Can you hear us?
Okay.
Your mute icon is on again.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
No, that's because I started speaking French.
Started swearing in French, probably.
Exactly. Okay, I served as a professor at Caltech until 1980. And it was just a time when the smog in Los Angeles was really miserable. And all of a sudden, my wife gave me a framed picture of downtown Los Angeles where you could just see a few skyscrapers sticking out of the smog. And said, well, maybe we can move. And I got an offer from the private sector from a company called S Cubed in the Sorrento Valley, where I knew people, I had worked with them before, and the salary was 3 times what I was making at Caltech. So that was a reasonable move. I moved to San Diego, and after 3 years, I was told the company was going to do some work on chemical weapons, which did not very much interest me. In fact, made me sick. So with a couple of friends, I started my own company. But then I decided I was missing teaching. There was a position as visiting professor at Scripps, which was kindly offered by a friend of mine. And I served at Scripps for a year and a half, and applied for a faculty position. I've been serving as a faculty position for 31 years. And from 1994 to 2018, when I retired, I served on the Senate every year in one form or another. Twice as chair of the Committee on Planning and Budget. I chaired the system-wide Committee on Planning and Budget. I chaired the division. Well, when I retired, I was asked whether I wanted to serve on the Emeriti Association. It was difficult to say no, even though I'm no longer very much in a position to commute from Encinitas to campus every day. So I hardly do that. I just don't get on the freeway anymore. Anyway, this is my last year, so I am pleased to have met all of you guys. I knew some of you before, and I think it's a very good organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean-Bernard. Gail Liu, you're also online. I know you've been very involved in many activities in the Emeriti Association. Can you tell us about your personal experiences and involvement?
Oh, thank you, Dr. Parker. Welcome, everyone. My name is Gail Liu, and I am not from the campus. I am from the healthcare sector. I was a pharmacist that worked at UCSD Hillcrest, and I got to work with some of our physician colleagues here. So it's been delightful to see them and work with them in a different perspective as a member of the Emeriti Association. I retired in 2018, excuse me, right before COVID. So we all lucked out with that, because that was some difficult times for a lot of our friends who were still working in the clinical arena. I joined the Retirement Association only because I wanted email forwarding as a perk to becoming a member of the Retirement Association. Suzanne Chiaffi, our former director, she realized that I had a Doctor of Pharmacy degree, which qualified me to be a mentor for the Chancellor Scholars Program. And as May has reiterated, along with other members here, about being a mentor for these wonderful young people, it has been just so rewarding. I am an active member of the Retirement Association as well. I participated in a lot of program development for them. I'm currently the Secretary Treasurer, and in a couple of weeks, my title will be relinquished to Dr. David Gus. So I hope you become a member of the Emeriti Association, and you can also be a member of the Retirement Association. But nonetheless, please join in our activities. The Retirement Association, where we've got a different personality than the Emeriti. For instance, I don't give any lectures, as some of our esteemed colleagues here. I made sourdough, and I demonstrated sourdough bread for the Retirement Association. May was our president, and we really had a great program under her leadership. So it was a pleasure meeting the side of the campus, like what Dr. Parker described, as well as meeting colleagues from work. So thank you, and I hope to see all your faces soon in future events of both the Emeriti Association and the Retirement Association. Thank you, Dr. Parker.
Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Gail. I think we'll now open it up for questions. We have 20, 25 minutes for questions, and any other comments from our active members. So what questions do any of you have? Yes, Loki, you raised your hand.
I
Okay,
did. Zoom has changed on me again, and I can't
right,
remember.
exactly. So Loki, I know you, but introduce yourself, and so we get to know you a little bit more.
Thank you, Barbara. So I'm just retired last year, and I'm from the School of Public Health. I'm in biostatistics, and yeah, so I've been at UCSD for a little over 20 years as faculty. I came in as a postdoc, and actually, I feel like my career has gone full circle here, seeing Dr. Boland, because I don't know if you remember me, but I think it was you and Christoph Gashi. The first project I worked on that was biostatistics was about mutation rates in a colorectal cancer cell line. So it's kind of exciting to be here. I feel like I've come back into good company again. So anyway, so my question was actually a little bit more. So first, thank you for putting this together. It's been really informative. But I wanted to learn a little bit more about the Scholars Program, in particular, what the mentor's role is. Like, what is our involvement? And is it for the entire 4 years? So just a little bit more perspective would be great.
Yes, Maid, you would be the best person to answer that.
Okay, great question. First of all, we bring in 40 new Chancellor Scholars each year. We have close to we'll have close to 200, 155 at the end of this past year. Our scholars are distributed across a number of different disciplines. Because of the nature of UC San Diego, a number of them tend to be in STEM related fields. We work hard to make sure that we have mentors who represent those areas as well, and who are in the humanities and the social sciences. But very much like UCSD, a lot of our mentees are in STEM fields. And I just looking at Vanya to see if she can bring that up for us, so we have a sense of what the distribution is. In terms of the role of mentors, I describe it as follows. Anyone who's willing to spend time with young people to share any information about your own experience as a college student, your experience as a professional, guidance that you can give to encourage them to continue to pursue their dreams. We have tremendous success with our scholars going on to graduate and professional schools. And as I said, in some cases, mentor and mentees have continued that relationship even after graduation from UC San Diego. Mentors are asked to meet with their mentees generally on a quarterly basis, maybe longer. And Phyllis has her hand up, so I'll make sure that I acknowledge you, Phyllis. To meet with their mentees, you get information about their disciplines, how they're doing academically. So we're not taking the role of academic counselors, anything like that, but we like to check in on our mentees just to make sure they're doing well. And there are programs that are set up for monthly meetings for the mentors, the first Monday of every month, or that's when we bring in guest speakers so that we are kept abreast of what's happening on the campus and we can give good guidance. And then a second meeting, which is the third Monday of the month, where we just sit and talk as mentors about what we're experiencing, what are our students experiencing, what kind of advice and guidance you can give if you have a particular concern about your mentee. Let me stop here and see if Phyllis, with your hand up, you want to add?
Yes, exactly. As you may recall, I'm a librarian, so I think there's only been one student in the probably 10 years I've been doing this who had an interest in librarianship, and she wasn't my mentee, but her mentor put her in touch with me. So I always describe the role as our students do not have parents. They certainly don't have the kind of helicopter parents academically that many students have, because they don't have that family support to understand what college is about. one of the things I've always, when I've described serving as a mentor, is that one of my jobs is to make sure that the students get out of their dorm room and meet people. You know, they get to get focused on grades and doing well because they're superb students. And my role is to make sure they understand what the college experience is. So anyone who's gone to college can serve as a mentor.
And thank you, Phyllis, for that, because it's not just the focus on academics, although we continue to stress just how important it is to keep up with our academic goals and progress nicely through the UC San Diego. But as Phyllis said, we're there as a moral support. If there's a need for a use of services, that we can direct them appropriately to services. Barbara?
Yes, I would just like to add that also we're in a role to advocate for the students. We're not their professors, we're not their parents, but we can be an experienced guide and advocate for them. If they're struggling or if they're excelling and they want a research opportunity or they want to engage in a club or an activity, we can urge them further to get involved. And my understanding is the obligation is for the first year, but many mentors continue on for the second year. Is that correct, May?
That
is sometimes
correct.
For all 4 years. Now you could accumulate a number of mentees if you get a new mentee every year for 4 years and you continue on with those activities. So I think that's on an individual basis, an election on an individual basis. Peter raised his hand.
Yeah.
So I'll recognize Peter.
I just wanted to add the point that you just made. I think Loki's question was, how long does it last? And the answer is technically for 1 or 2 years, but it could go on longer if you wanted it to.
Correct.
You answered the question. You answered the question.
Thank you.
Vanya put in the chat a link to our annual report for 22-23. This is a wonderful opportunity to take a look at that report and answer a lot of the questions about what our mentees or what our students are doing after they leave UCSD. A number of them have spoken very highly of their mentor-mentor relationship. You'll find that in that report as well. And Barbara and Peter, myself, and past chair of the Alan,
yeah.
had an opportunity to meet with the chancellor to talk about our program. And he was so impressed with the mentoring, especially the maritime mentoring process that we used for the Chancellor Scholars, that he asked us to really look at how we could provide this level of mentoring for a larger number of students. That's the work that we're looking at as well. Other questions about, oh, sorry, Barbara.
Yeah. I'll recognize Christine, who has her hand up.
Yes, thank you so much for all those informative presentations. I had another question for May. I mean, I would like to know a little bit more about the procedures we use to select those 40 scholars, Chancellor Scholars. How are the decisions taken and how are they distributed in terms of the discipline?
Okay. And I'm going to ask Vanya to help with that as well. I mentioned that this group of students are just below the Regent Scholars. So those are selected by the campus. Our scholars are also admitted to the campus and selected through the Admissions and Financial Aid Office. And then, and that's how we get the 40. They then submit, we then communicate with the students, send them an application or request additional information, just as we do with the mentors. And Vanya, hop in here at any point. We then, my role has been to work with Vanya and her team to identify and work with the matching, although they do the bulk of the work. And I simply look at it and say, yes, this is a great match. Vanya, what?
Yeah, you're exactly right. So we're right below the Regent Scholars as far as our students' academics go. The main difference is our students really do come from a disadvantaged background in that they are lower income, they are from challenging backgrounds. Their parents might not have been to college before. So you're really providing that institutional know-how that they really might have no idea about in your role as mentors. And yes, so financial aid decides all of that, and we just make sure to match them the best possible to a mentor that can help them along the way. As far as how their disciplines are distributed, we specifically requested at least half be non-STEM, so that mentors who are not from a STEM background, which UCSD is very heavily on, I know, they can still also be able to help their students and feel a little bit more included. So half are STEM, half are not. That's usually what we would request from financial aid.
And I will share with you that I'm not a STEM person either. I'm on the social science side of the house, and since we don't get into a lot of discussion about the discipline, I feel very comfortable working with whether they're social scientists or not. But I primarily like to work with social scientists and humanity majors. I'm sorry, Barbara.
I just wanted to add that UCSD is unique and that our Emeriti Association is the only Emeriti Association across the 10 UCs that have Emeriti Associations, or 12, I guess, in having a formal mentorship program. So we are the envy of the other UCs in that regard. Both the other UCs as well as the chancellor has, because of the success of this program, which was started about 15 or 17 years ago, because it's been so successful, others are looking to us and this program to model other mentorship programs about regarding. Peter has his hand raised.
Yeah, unless there's somebody who wants to ask a question ahead of me, Barbara, is there somebody who wants to ask a question?
I don't see any other hands, but just shout out if I'm not seeing your hand.
I just wanted to add something to the previous two questions, which is that it's not so easy to match the applicants with the people. I mean, one of the challenges is that most of them don't really want to be one of us. They're not really coming to talk to us because they want to be, oh, I want to be Peter Gervich or Barbara Parker or something like that. That's really not the advice that we can give most of them. I think many of them are there because they don't have in their own personal family backgrounds or school backgrounds very well people as well educated as most of the faculty and retirees, and so they're looking for us for kind of advice. I think as May and Phyllis and other people have said about what's it like to be in college, what are the stresses that happen, what happens to you? You know, what stresses might you go through? What do I do about it? Who can I go talk to for advice? So it's really, you know, experience as an older person with kind of the advanced degrees that they may be seeking of some kind, but it isn't specific advice. In order to become this kind of medical professor, that kind of a person, you should do X. That's not the kind of thing that they're answering for. So I'm a political science professor. I was the founding dean of our School of International Affairs, and we have lots of students who have the following character. The mentee that I was assigned to is a student of Asian American background whose parents were not in college, and she's not sure what she wants to do, but she's studying a mixture of science, business, and international affairs. Well, I'm not any one of the three of them, but I've been involved in educational experience with students who want to do just that combination. And I'm very exposed to our School of International Affairs, a little bit to the business school. So I get along quite well with her, and we could talk about things, even though I have no specific concrete thing to tell her. It's just that I sort of half know where she's coming from and what her problems are, and something of the idea of who to go send her to talk to. And that's what she just wants, an understanding ear, I think. I don't think she wants concrete. She doesn't want to be me. She doesn't want to become like me, and she's not looking for that. And she just wants a sort of an understanding ear. We go out and have lunch together and chat. And I think that's what she's looking for. And I think that's something that we as older people can really contribute and be valuable to the people. And as everyone has said, it's a very rewarding experience.
Gail?
Gail, oh,
Gail, I'm sure you have something to add.
I have had 5 mentee students. My very first one, she finished her master's degree in speech pathology, and her parents wanted her to go to medical school. She is a Vietnamese descent, first generation like myself. And we had a discussion, and I feel that our role as mentors are like a life coach. So one of the things we discussed was to live your life, what you choose. Your parents love you, and they will support you in your decisions. So it is rewarding from all the backgrounds of all these students. And they will also teach you a thing or two about what the current dynamics of social media are, and TikTok and Instagram and all these things, and Korean K-pop groups that they love. So they have a pulse on what's going on in their lives, and I think it's great that they share that with you as what you can share with them. Oh, I just wanted to add that they do receive $5,000 a year per student for the 4 years that they are in the program. They are committed to a 2-year program, weekly lecture series within the Chancellor program. The 3rd and the 4th year, they are not obligated to continue these mandatory weekly meetings. And so it is up to you. The other thing I wanted to say about the EA Association is that there are a lot of opportunities with luncheons and things like that to socialize with. And in December, there are gatherings at the Retirement Resource Center as well.
I would just like to use that as a plug for next week's May 8th luncheon, annual luncheon of the Emeriti Association. We're going to have a fabulous lecture by David Bazzi on migration and its impact on geopolitics in the United States. And we're going to have our awards, our Dixon Awards announced, as well as be able to meet in person and get to know each other further. So any of you who haven't signed up, I strongly recommend you do, assuming we don't have any campus reasons for us to change our plans. Other questions or comments?
we're always, Barbara, we're always looking for new mentors. We have representation from engineering, the School of Medicine, pharmacy, public health, the social sciences, the arts and humanities, biological sciences, scripts. So we always are very interested in having mentors consider serving as a mentor for the Chancellor Scholars. So just a plug for that. And the last thing I would like to say is what others have said. It's a very rewarding experience. And while I worked a lot with students when I was Dean of Advising at Thurgood Marshall, this has been a very different experience. This is my third year having a mentor, and each year I find myself thinking, okay, this is great. This is what I'd love to do, as opposed to some of the other things I've been involved in. So encourage you to check us out, and Vanya and Jennifer are available if you have additional questions about how to sign up as a mentor.
We have about 750 Emeriti members who are official members of the Emeriti Association, and about 50 volunteer as mentors for the Chancellor Scholars Program. And we're looking to increase that number. We didn't mention, because we didn't have those representatives online, but we also have an academic senate committee We have with a representative on the executive board, and those individuals attend the academic senate meetings and then report back to us, which keeps us engaged in the ongoing discussion of new programs, new initiatives, and shared governance on campus. We also have a faculty welfare committee that's been chaired by David Gus this past year, involved in benefits discussions. And we also have a role for historian of the Emeriti Association and historian of campus life or campus activities. And that has, two major participants have been Jack Fisher, who wrote a history of UCSD, which has been very informative, as well as Mel Green, who just published for more limited readership, how all the buildings were named on campus. Any final questions or comments? Peter, as the president, do you want to close us out? You're on mute, Peter. Peter, you're on mute.
All right. Yeah, I'm happy to close it out. I also want to mention that I notice online is your successor as vice president is Dick Madsen is on there. So I wanted to give a shout out to him. Dick, are you on screen? I think people can
I'm on
find
screen.
there's Dick Madsen right there. Dick Madsen is vice president, almost vice president elect, but not quite. And he's going to be vice president next year, and he's from sociology department, and has the fun of arranging next year's lectures. That's a lot of fun, Dick. It seems like a lot of work right now. It is a lot of work in summer, and then you get all of next year, you get the fun, and you get to introduce them, and it's quite a lot of fun. And but I think that there are a lot of different activities that you can get involved with, as I think we've tried to sample and show to you. People have gotten involved in the Emeriti Association in several different ways, and these are all open to you, and picking whichever one of these things seems particularly interesting to you. There's the making friends, meeting people that you didn't know from different parts of the campus. If you've been on committees, you've probably met some of these people. But this is another way to get to know them than through other activities like mentoring and the book club are the major ones, but there are other ones. And so do feel free to call staff or anybody that you know or people that you don't know, and call them and ask them more questions if you have them. So it's a very great pleasure to talk to all of you in doing this. Barbara, I turn it back to you.
Let me just say,
Dick.
Yes.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dick.
Peter, it's great to be back in touch. You know, I was on the executive committee several years ago. You know, Stephen Adler got me.
Right.
And so I know most of you, or very many of you. There's some new faces, and know about all the wonderful things you've done. I think the Chancellor's scholars program is actually terrific. And anyway, so I'll be looking forward to doing all that. And I probably will not like to join the book club. I was going to, but actually I was just finished a book of my own, and it just came out 2 weeks ago, and I was kind of busy with that the last couple of weeks, but I should have more time.
Put that on the book club. In the next book.
Yes, put it on the book club.
The next book club is reading a book that I just wrote on a history of my family. So I can plug that for you all of it. We're doing that in 3 weeks, so you're all welcome to come. And you put your book on the thing. We did one for Joel Dimsdale. We could do one for you. So that would be a lot of fun. I think we would all enjoy that a great deal.
Anyway, it's great.
Dick and we know each other from a committee, because one of the earliest ways we met is that Dick was on the planning committee that created what is now our Graduate School of Global Policy, and was originally IRPS, but Dick was on the original planning committee way back in 1984, 85 that did that. So.
And Peter and Barbara, I also see that Wayne is online.
And Wayne, that's right. Wayne, I knew Wayne from back then too. Hi, Wayne.
And Wayne is our incoming chair of the Emeriti Mentor Program.
I also got talked into
it. Well, remember, Wayne, we're here to help.
I appreciate that. I need all the help I can get.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine. That's what Suzanne said to me, and she was right.
Okay, well, thank you so much, all of you, for attending and your wonderful questions and your interest. And we hope those of you who have dialed in who are not current members will join and start attending some or all of our activities, and also give us suggestions of additional things you might be interested in. So
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Barbara.